Hi, and welcome to the Echoes podcast, where we share wisdom, establish identities, tell stories, and create echoes that last beyond the moment. In this series, we're going to be sharing stories that I grew up with that were really meaningful to me in my childhood and something that I share with my children. So, the first story that we want to talk about is Lord Ganesha and why he is the first god that is prayed to in Sanatan Dharma. It's a very beautiful story. So this tracks back and we see Shiva's family, so Shiva, Parvati, Kartikeya, who is the oldest son, and Ganesha, who is the youngest. And there's a conversation that happens in the sort of the Deva or the god community of who is the first god that we should pray to. And everyone's arguing their point, it should be me, it should be me. And Lord Shiva, the Adi Yogi, the first deity, decides it should be someone from his family. And he wants it to be one of his sons. So he decides to have a competition, to have a race for the children. So what he says to Kartikeya and Ganesha is that you two must race around the world 3 times, and whoever wins that race will be granted that position, that place of power, the first deity that's praised on any good occasion. And so the boys get ready for their race. Now Kartikeya, who is the leader of the army, is a very powerful deity, has his vehicle is a majestic peacock, very fast at running, very nimble and light on his feet, very impressive animal. And Kartikeya himself is this incredibly strong and powerful character, very lean, very sort of fairly aggressive, and ready to go and win that race. And Ganesha, as you all probably know, he's got this beautiful pot belly, this little heavy elephant head. He's maybe a little bit shorter than Kartikeya, and he's thinking, gosh, how am I possibly going to win this race? His vehicle is the humble mouse, this tiny little character that hides in holes and can't run particularly fast. And on top of that, he then has to support Ganesha, who is this huge, sort of fairly big fat god. And they're thinking to themselves, gosh, how are we going to win this race? And he starts, Ganesha starts feeling really sad about that. Kartikeya is getting ready for the race. Mother and father, Shiva and Parvati, are sitting in their position, in their meditation, getting ready to judge the race and decide the winner. So Shiva says, on your marks, get set, off you go. And you can imagine that Kartikeya just zooms straight off, jumps onto his peacock, and they start dashing. Within that first few seconds, Ganesha's already feeling sad. He's saying, my brother's so far ahead of me already. How on earth am I going to possibly win this race? He's maybe has a little tear in his eyes, and he starts thinking, gosh, there's no way that I could possibly win this race, is there? And that's when he uses his intellect and his humility, his heart. He approaches Shiva and Parvati and he circles them 3 times. So he walks around his parents once, he walks around his parents twice, and he walks around his parents a 3rd time, and he bows down in front of his parents and he says, Mother, Father, I've completed my race around the world. And the parents are slightly confused. The other devatas that have come to watch this fascinating and challenging race also equally confused. And Shiva asks, Ganesha, you have not even started your race yet. Your brother is halfway around the world by now. Don't you think you should go? And Ganesha, in his pure, naive innocence, replies back and he says, Father, what to speak of a race around the world? I look at you, I look at Mother Parvati. You are my world. You are everything to me. I've gone round my world 3 times. I've completed my race. And whatever you decide should be the first God that is worshipped, I've done my best and I've completed my race. And Shiva and Parvati are so overwhelmed by the humility, innocence, and the love of their small child. Declare Ganesha the winner of that race. What they decide is that what an example this beautiful child is setting to the world. We use our parents as our first teachers. They bring us into the world. They teach us how to smile, to laugh, to eat, to walk. And so when we bow down to our parents with absolute humility, what Ganesha teaches us is that that's the way that we win the world. It's a beautiful story of how Ganesha uses his intellect. And, we'll come to talk about Ganesha in future episodes. And we're moving into a series about the Ramayana, so hidden stories that are encapsulated within the Ramayana story. And the reason that I'm starting this with a little story about Ganesha, it's not directly connected to the Ramayana, but it is the first deity we pray to, the deity that removes our obstacles, that blesses us with intellect, with discrimination, with good critical thinking, good thoughts. So we bow down to Lord Ganesha, who in his intelligence won that race within seconds of starting it, who took that place of being worshipped first. We pray to him to remove the obstacles, to give us discrimination, to give us the challenges that we can overcome with his help. And as we start on to this new venture of the Echoes podcast, we pray that he blesses this venture to share these beautiful stories with families across the globe. For anyone who's interested in listening to and learning about stories from Sanatana Dharma, we pray to Ganesha to make that possible. So join us for the next episode, where we'll be diving into the Ramayana book series. We'll be talking about Dasharatha and how something that particularly came in his way, a particular obstacle that was put in his way, completely out of his control, laid the seeds and foundations for Lord Vishnu arriving into this world as Lord Rama. See you next time.